This podcast is supported by advertising outside the UK.
BBC Sounds. Music, radio, podcasts.
Yo, this is the Yungblud podcast. Turn up that volume. This is a place where I get to know you guys a little bit better every single second. Each week I talk to you when you're at home about something that you're going through, something that's going on in your life, something big, something scary, maybe even something you never even talked about before. This is your space to let it all out and just be you. This week my guest is Faaris. He's a 23-year-old British Pakistani digital animator. Faaris is absolutely killing it in his career. I'm a massive fan, man. He's designed live stage visuals for Stormzy's Glastonbury set, as well as artists like AJ Tracey and Steph London. But it has taken a lot to get there. Faaris grew up witnessing his mum be a victim of domestic abuse. We're not going to go into too much detail about domestic abuse because it's going to be a very personal subject, but we will be talking about it and the effects it had on Faaris and his family. And because we're talking about this, it obviously contains strong language, sensitive subjects and adult themes. I just want to warn anybody, if you find something like this difficult, you might want to give this one a miss. I think Faaris is so strong to share his story. Here we go. Yo, what's up, Faaris, man? How are you?
What's up, bro? How you doing, man?
I'm vibing, man. I'm good, man. Your haircut's sick. I like your Denzel Curry. I like your Denzel Curry vinyl.
I knew you would, bro. Thank you so much, man. Safe, bro. How you doing, man?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Are you?
Good. Yeah, all good, man. Thank you so much for having me on.
No, bro,
really
thank you. No, I'm so excited about this, and it's a subject matter I relate to very heavily. So
100%, man.
As I say, wish I didn't, but I do. So let's.
Yeah. That's it, man. That's it. Yeah.
Firstly, I just want to say I'm a massive fan of what you do. I've seen your work. I've seen. I think it's incredible, and you've done so much at such a young age. And I just wanted to talk about kind of what it took to get to this place.
Yeah.
Can you tell me a little bit about your childhood?
Yeah, of course. So yeah, I grew up I was born in London, like northeast London. And so I'm half Pakistani. So my dad was Pakistani, so I spent a lot of time in Pakistan. And from what I remember, like, it was sick. I actually loved it. Like, the culture's amazing. As you can imagine, like, the food was amazing as well.
Yeah.
And I think kind of as we were starting to come back to London, there was kind of like there's always been like a sort of dark relationship between my parents, in terms of like, there was a lot of domestic violence towards my mum. And yeah.
Dude, yeah, I mean...
Yeah, do you know what I mean? Like, it was very rough, like, growing up. Like, it was my mum was just constantly under a lot of just involved with a lot of domestic violence on like, from my dad.
I mean, it's a subject matter, as I said earlier, it's a subject matter that I relate to heavily. So I think this conversation is going to be kind of very, we're not going to hesitate very much. Do you know what I'm saying? And I think that's what's so cool. I think when you kind of grow up in that kind of environment, it makes you question yourself so much, even though you are, that you maybe had kind of nothing to do with the ins and outs of it.
Yeah, man.
I think it can really shape who you are, and you can either go two ways. You can kind of...
That's it, man, yeah. You can really go, like, off the rails, like, on one end, like, you can really deal with it really badly, but, like, I feel like on my end, like, I've always been very protective of my mum, and it was really hard because, like, at such a young age, like, you don't really want to take sides, you know?
Absolutely.
But like, I don't know how it was on your end, but like my situation was very one-sided. Do you know what I mean? So I knew that what was happening was wrong. So it was quite easy for me to like always step in when it was getting like too much, you know, when the abuse was just getting so much, and I'd had to physically get involved at like such a young age to even like just pull my dad off of her, you know.
Yeah. Dude. I think.
Do you know what I mean?
Dude, I completely know what you mean, and I think the thing about it is like it was kind of from a male perspective, from my point of view, but also from my mum's side as well.
Yeah.
It was hard, and it was hard not to kind of hate them, because you see that, and it's like you look like someone you love so much but you just can't handle that. It's almost like your mind sees it, but you can't actually process it. And I think it can, as I say, it can really make you have to figure out your identity on the spot. You know what I mean? Because you either go, all right, I'm going to go down the road where I'm going to learn from that behaviour, or I'm going to go down the road where I'm going to absolutely sever the head off that behaviour and never go anywhere near it, and kind of do everything I can to push against it.
100%,
And you kind of strike me as a person who puts a lot of that pain and a lot of that almost rearrangement of your brain into your work and into your art and into your kind of focus. Is that the case?
100%, man. Like, I think, like, obviously the situation that was happening there, like, we obviously had to get out. Like, my mum was under in a lot of pain, you know, and we ended up leaving my dad, basically. And the experiences that happened from, I guess, around age 1 to like 14 was so crucial to like how hard I work now.
Completely.
I think that, like, knowing like how hard like that sort of stuff, like living in that sort of situation was, like, it will never leave me. And I'm, in some ways, like, I'm really grateful for that, to be honest. Like, there's always something like I can take from it.
Dude, isn't that so crazy? Isn't that so like, when I think about that, I'm like, when I think about that kind of thing, it's so mental that you almost kind of not happy it happened, but it made you who you are, so it's part of your soul. Like, I don't, if everything was hunky-dory, like, I might not be the person I am.
Yeah, man, 100%.
Do you know what I mean? And isn't that such a twisted, dark
It's
thought?
crazy, because in the time, like, you think that, like, you're never gonna get out of it, you're never gonna, like, escape that sort of, like, this bounding mentality that you're just completely alone and you're never gonna meet anyone who's going through the same sort of things that you are. But in reality, like, everyone kind of deals with their own things, and like everyone's going all through the same sort of things, like,
at the same time.
So much, exactly, man, and it's so much more common. But like, as a kid, I think you'll relate to this a lot as well, man. Like, you know, times when, like, say you go to your mate's house and you go to your mate's house and you're just so jealous of like the family that they have, because everything's so normal. And you're like, bruv, why can't I just like, why can't my house just be like this?
Oh yeah, but my weird thing was when kind of mates would come round to my house and then it'd all start kicking off.
Yeah, man.
That was the worst thing for me. I can feel that knot in my stomach now.
Yeah.
Or I'd be on the phone to my friend and be like, what's that in the background? I'm like, nothing. And,
yeah,
and
yeah.
you
Just
like,
ignore it. Just
you just got to. It's and the hard thing is that they know exactly what's happening and they know exactly what you're like. But
yeah, man.
The kind of, it's just hard to see that on the face when they're just like, pretending to be like, all right, man, I get it. When they're just like, what is going on here? Get me out of this house. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
How is your mental health now on that? You kind of traumatized, or are you? I know we were talking about earlier that we kind of, everything happens for a reason, and it kind of shapes us who we are. Yeah. How is your mental health at the moment?
Yeah, well, I think like I've never been to therapy, but I think I haven't been to therapy, but I'm one of the people who would always advise people to go to therapy regardless of whatever you've been through. I think it's just a really positive thing to do. I've known a lot of people who have done it. Like, taking it back again, like when I was younger, I didn't realize at the time, because you don't really realize at the time, innit, that I was going through like a lot of like abandonment issues.
Absolutely.
And I didn't know they were abandonment issues until my girlfriend was like, yo, like, you were actually, that's exactly what it was, when I'd start telling her these stories of like how I used to act when I was younger. Because I swear, like, this must have been so hard for my mum, because she was working like 3 jobs at the time, just living in this like rundown council house with 3 kids, just trying to raise them on her own. And I was in a position where I didn't have a mum that was at home all the time, but I didn't have a dad as well. So I kind of just had to do it on your own. I just had to do everything on my own. Like, my mum, like, and bless her, like, it's just because she had to work so hard, you know, and she didn't really like understand what I was doing like a lot of the time. She only knew like what I was studying until like my 3rd year of uni, I think. So like it got to the point where crazy. Like I've just been constantly just working and doing whatever just to I don't know, just to, I think this whole
to exist, man.
Yeah, man. Just to give I felt like it's kind of to give myself a purpose, you know.
But I feel that's so heavy, man, because that's exactly why. That's exactly why.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I did it. It got me into it. I was like, I am not happy in this world.
Yeah.
So I'm going to build my own. And talking about building worlds, you're an animator. You're an incredibly talented animator.
Oh, thank you so much, bro. Oh my God.
How did you get into that? Where did that go? All right, this is where I got to go.
Yeah, fam. Okay, basically, like, so when I was in Pakistan, like, I've always been into animation. I've always loved animation, like, especially 2D animation, like hand-drawn animation. That shit is just incredible to me, right? And I can't draw. Like, I can't draw. I think that's why it was so cool to me, because I just can't. I can't pick up a pen and draw something.
That's so
And you're
sick.
always gonna love what you can't do. You're always gonna be fascinated by something you can't do. I think, you know. So like, I in Pakistan, like, all I used to watch was The Jungle Book. Because it's the only English movie that I had, isn't it? Like, that's literally, I used to watch that every single day. I'd sit there twizzling my hair, just watching it all day. But like, yeah, bro, I've literally got like a balloon behind me, innit? Like,
oh my God, so
I live and die by that film, like, and like, especially the 60s version, like.
There's so much in it. There's so much metaphors in it. Even now, watching it now, it's
man.
like, whoa.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
that's so crazy to me. You don't draw, but I so get that, because I cannot produce for shit. But I know what's in my head. So when I'm with someone, they're on the computer, and I find it frustrating sometimes, because I'm like, that's not the sound I hear in my head. They're like, well, do it. And I'm like, I can't. Do you know what I mean? I wish I could. I just need to ask, right? Okay, so you're in Pakistan, right?
Yes.
You watch The Jungle Book, and then cut to you designing stuff for Stormzy and Dave. In a tiny amount of time, can you just tell me about 1, 2, 3, how you got there? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, so like, I mean, I guess I've finished school, didn't know what the hell I wanted to do. Was kind of like, I was very motivated though. I didn't know what I wanted to do, but I knew I needed to
do something
that I loved and that would make me some money. But I've never wanted to be like a boss. Do you know what I'm saying? I've just wanted to be comfortable and make people in my family comfortable. That's all I've kind of wanted. Yeah. I'm not trying to be like, you know, like the next big thing. I've just wanted to be happy.
So cool, man. I
went to college to study animation. Again, like, the thing about that is, like, no one knew what I was doing. I just kind of picked up animation while I was just like, I started making cartoons, like, just in my free time. And it's funny because it's something that, like, I would get bullied a lot for in school, because people thought it was like stupid or something like that, you know. Crazy. Because I'd like make little cartoons on my computer and like voice them over and all that sort of stuff, and I love doing it. But the problem with that, again, is like, I didn't have a computer. Like, I used to use my mum's like little notebook that she used for her emails. Bro, when I went to college, it was such a hard time, man, because we didn't, like, I've never had money growing up, and I didn't realize how much kind of money you needed to invest in this sort of stuff in terms of like equipment. And I'm sure this stuff, the thing about this is it relates to music so much. Like, it's just creating art, you know
Completely.
what I'm saying? Like, and you do need the equipment to be able to do so, you know? And like, without any of that, like,
Payne needs his paintbrush, man.
That's it, man. 100%. Like, I didn't have the equipment to do any of that. And like, going to college, you see all these kids who are just, oh, yo, I just got this new Mac or whatever. And I'm sat there like, bruv, I don't even like, I used to pretend that I had a computer and just stay after hours, just stay there and work, because
so cool.
I physically couldn't do anything at home. And again, bless my mum, she just couldn't afford it. But I was so lucky that a guy in my class ended up lending me one of his computers, and bro, from then I was just lost in it. I used to animate all day, every night, because it was just, I don't know, like it was an art form that wasn't so out there for me. Like, it was something I could just express myself in like really weird ways.
There's no limitation.
You know what I mean?
There's no
exactly,
limitation,
man. Exactly, yeah, man. I'm constantly learning. Like, I'm always learning about new stuff or new software that's coming out, and it's so interesting to be involved in. You know,
dude. I think that's so crazy. I think even right now, like, I released my album last year, and I'm kind of back in the studio now. I'm already back in the studio, and people are like
mad.
going crazy. And I think when we talk about limitations and kind of figuring out for the first time that, whoa, there is no limitations. On Weird, I wanted to do 7 different versions of myself, and people understood it, and people kind of relate to it so heavy. Bro. So now I'm in the studio going further and further and further and further and further, because again, that's what provides peace.
Yeah, man.
To bring something. The best thing in the world, right, is when you bring something into the world that wasn't there that morning.
Man.
You know what I mean?
100%, man. I know 100% what you mean.
That's the coolest thing. That's the coolest thing ever. And what I want to say to anyone out there that's listening is like, what you go through in your life can be hard or it can be easy. But be ultimately proud to be who you are and to do what you want to do. No matter what you face, no matter what you go through, you have the right to be utterly yourself and utterly pursue what you want to do, no matter what that may be. And if you work hard and sweat and sweat and sweat and sweat, you can achieve absolutely anything. I know that sounds really corny. But it's true, man. Listen to this story, man. Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah. What did it feel like when you first saw your visuals on stage?
Bro, I cried my eyes out.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Fam, I literally, I didn't know, like, because, like, I mean, you know, I don't know, I started, like, making a lot of my stuff and, like, putting it online, right? And, I got contacted by this, like, a creative company called Tourbox. Incredible people. They're the people who gave me these opportunities to do the visuals at the sets and stuff. The first one I did was an AJ Tracey set in Brixton.
So sick.
And bro, like, I've been trying to get into the visuals scene for so long, and like going to events and raves and all that sort of stuff, and seeing those visuals, like I always wanted to do something like that. When I got the AJ one, I just couldn't. It didn't really make sense in my head. How is this happening to me? You know. And then I went there. I remember I went there. I went there just to like. I had to see it and I had to film it for my portfolio, obviously. Yeah, so I'm like standing there, like, and the guys got me in. It's like I was just kind of in the regular crowd, just standing there, like filming it on my phone, just like in tears. And people were looking at me like, "What the hell?
Yeah,
is,
what's he doing?
Like,
yeah, an AJ Tracey show.
Yeah, why is that guy crying?
Yeah. Why is that guy with curly hair just crying his eyes out? I love that. That's so hard.
I swear, that's it, man.
That's just brilliant, man. You're cool as fuck, bro. Honestly,
Faaris,
you, man. No, thank you so much for coming on the YB podcast.
Nah, man, thank you so much for having me, bro. I need to say, like, everything you're doing, man, like, is seriously incredible, bro. Like, I honestly wish that you were around when I was growing up, because, like, fam, like, for example, the music video you made for God Save Me But Don't Drown Me Out, yeah. Every time I watch that, I swear I get chills, because it's the perfect representation of how I grew up, like in an area where no one knows who you are, like no one cares. You look different. Like growing up in my area as like an Asian guy, like you're always stared at, you're always looked at differently. And I think your representation of just being different, but like you just want to be yourself. You don't never want to leave your room because you know people, and like just. Mate, like I just wish I had that teddy bear to back me up.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? That's what it is. Like I watch it and I'm like, bro, if this guy was just there for me, like that's would have been it. But I swear, bro, if I had seen that when I was a kid, like that really would have helped me a lot, man. And I'm sure you're doing so much for kids these days, bro. And
Thank you, bro, man. I really appreciate that, and I think that's it, man. It's like whatever's inside of us just needs to be captured.
100%.
And I think as long as it's real and as long as it's raw, it can be anything.
Yeah, man.
Do you know what I'm saying? I think that's it. I think every single person, like, that's what I always say to everyone. It's like, there's never been anyone like you. There will never be anyone like you. So be absolutely, like, you're fucking amazing just by existing. You're brilliant. You are a miracle just by breathing. So just like own it, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man. 100%.
Faaris, you're a legend, man. Thank you so much,
man,
bro.
Thank you so much for having me on, bro. I really appreciate you, man.
Faaris, what a legend, and thank you so much, Faaris' mum, for allowing him to share her story. They are both so incredibly brave to put themselves out there like that. If anything from this episode has affected you in any way, you can find information and support by searching online for BBC Action Line. And if you think this episode might help someone, please do tell them about it. You can subscribe on a BBC Sounds app. Until then, I'll see you later.